Hey guys, you know what? I want to ask you guys a question. How many times have you designed something and the design process took you like way longer than it did to like duplicate it? I'm Sandra Younger. I'm going to be your hostess for today's JTV Extra Show, and I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks from actually designing a bracelet or a necklace to duplicating it, because one process takes forever while the other one is a lot easier. But what I'm going to give you tips and tricks for is how to leave your options open as you're designing. Because have you ever like made something and then you're like, oh, I wish I'd left more cord, or I kind of sort of would like to add like this like technique, like if you want to go from like a knotting to a braiding. I'm going to share with you tips and tricks on what to do, how to leave your options open, and how to get the best possible result from any design that you have in your head. But before we get started, this platform, you can ask questions, leave comments. If you like what you see or hear, you can hit the heart, the love button, that little, I think it's called the love button. Actually, I don't think that button has an official term. And also, you can toggle the products. I know that every computer that I go on, the layout is a little bit different, but I mean, last that I saw, okay, I'm looking at my other computer here. If you like click on any of the products on the right-hand side, you can shop. And let's see what else. Brilliant Cash. Let me tell you about Brilliant Cash, because it's really important if this is your first time here. If you buy anything, you could just go to the JTV website, and you buy anything and you will get like a $40 credit like towards your next purchase. So let's say I bought something today and then a week later I go back, I'm going to have a $40 credit in my account, which can be used for any purchases. But look at all these other benefits. On your birthday, you get $20. So make sure and pay attention to when your birthday comes along, because I forgot that on my birthday, I had the $20 credit, and I think, I don't know what happened to it. I need to go back and check. The anniversary of your first purchase, you get $20. The Sparkle Ambassador Refer a Friend, you get $25, they get $25. 1% back on all purchases. And if you have a preferred card, you get 2% back. And guys, if you have not shopped for 365 days, believe it or not, you get a $30 credit on your account. Cool. But I'm going to show you real quick today's products, and then we'll do our customer slideshow, which is like, oh, my favorite part. You guys know that. And then we'll get started with today's project. And I think it'll be straightforward. I think you'll really like it, because I'm going to share with you some really cool tips and tricks. So let's take a look at today's products. Okay, so here are the products on today's show. First, we've got these really, really pretty white cultured freshwater potato pearl. It's a potato and rice shape, and you get 3 strands, and each of the strands is about 13 to 14 inches long. And let's see, next we have the mother of pearl round circle, which is what I used in today's show. And I used the smaller of the 3 sizes, but you get 11 strands. Wow, you just get so many of them. I mean, I thought there are so many things I could make with these, but I was overwhelmed, and so I picked the little ones. And I know that the hole is over 8 millimeter on the small one, because I was able to like feed an 8 millimeter hole an 8 millimeter bead in there. So that's these guys are really, really pretty. And then the next we have the wax jewelry cord. Guys, if you don't have wax jewelry cord, you need to get your hands on this stuff, because it is like the best for braiding, macrame binding knots, knotting. And I have so many tips and tricks on how to use this on my website. It is ridiculous. It is one of my favorite cords. And each of the spools has like 300 and something yards. So total, you get 720 yards altogether. So it's definitely, and it can be melted. So it's one of those cords that you don't need any glue. And then next we have these are paper, they're called a stainless steel paper clip link. And these things are really strong. I tried to bend one because I thought I wanted to give them the bend test. And even though they're not soldered, no matter what you make, nothing's going to happen to these, because they are very, very strong. And like I said, you get 3 sizes, and they're just, got to have them. And then let's see what else we have. Oh, we have our board. our Knotty-Do-It-All. And it is available in both the large size and the small size. And you do get like your instructional DVD and, you know, your ebook and everything. But let me just show you real quick a couple of really cool things that you can do with this. So right here, I am making a moose knot. So real easy. You put a pin and a clip an inch apart, and then check this out. Take it off, slide it down, and it's just the best looking knot. Check that out. And then here, I'm going to use the moose knot again, but this time I'm going to attach a button, and I'm putting in like, I'm getting 3 strands so that I can transition into a braid. So on this particular segment, I'm using a needle because the thread is so thin and it just makes it a lot easier. So you get that in, pull, and then check this out. Nice, clean, it's not going to break, it's not going to budge. It's just beautiful, attractive finish there. And then now I take that, clip it into, put the button into a clip, and then I start my braiding. And the neat thing is it's got the ruler so it can keep track of the length for you and keep tension. And here's another one. This is the multi-strand. You just set up your pins and clips in this way, and then boom, you have your multi-strand. And there you have it. And this is everything that you get with your, let me see, what do you get? Let me tell you. Okay, here is the big board. It's got the wells. It's got the measurement in both inches and centimeters. You get your hardware kit, and you do get an instructional DVD and an ebook with either size. You get that, but this is the hardware kit for the big board. This is for the small board. It's just a little bit different because on the smaller board, you just work a little bit differently. And the you get the DVD and the ebook, but guys, let me tell you something. You need to go online because there are so many videos online that I just couldn't even fit on the DVD. But the ebook is available as a download, so make sure and check it out. And if you're wondering, like, well, what kind of stringing material can I use with this? Well, like anything you can get your hands on. I mean, I've leather, wax cord, S-Lon, C-Lon, silk, viscose, yarn. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's nothing that you cannot make with this board. If you're into stringing materials, then this is definitely the tool for you. Oh, I almost lost myself there for a minute. Let me answer a couple of questions. Let's see, we got a question from Diana. Yes, the cord is polyester, and what is so cool about it is that you can melt it. You can't melt a waxed linen, but I do have tips and tricks on my website on how to work with it. So if you work with the waxed linen or any kind of like non-synthetic, you can finish the ends with the synthetic. So that, I think that's something that I talked to Adair about one time, and you know, really interesting conversation. And let's see, there was another, let's see, anybody, no, that's it. But we're going to do the customer slideshow next. And, you know, right when I think that, you know, no one's going to send anything in, then boom, I get a bunch of like really cool like pieces. So I'm going to show you all the cool things that you guys sent in this week. Thank you so much. First, we have Sarah from North Carolina, and I can tell here that this is a multi-strand and that you used macrame binding knots to finish the ends. And I just love that the end part where you put those 3 wire-wrapped pearls on the end. I think that's really, really snazzy. I just love like things on end of chain, which brings us to these guys. Laura Lee from Florida, and I love all 3 of them. And she was telling me that on the pearl one on the far left, she used the loop up technique, and that the other 2 were strung on. But look how cute these are. You know, I was talking about those little dangle things on bracelets earlier, and I think these are so cute. Not just 1 heart, but 2. Oh, that is so extra. And then next, this one here, this one's got the 2 hearts on the bottom as well. And one nice thing about the way Laura Lee finishes these is it's just that part of the bracelet also looks pretty, because usually the finishing end isn't like all that exciting, but this looks really, really pretty. And then next we have Susanna from Louisville, Kentucky. Now this is a macrame with the beads on the outside over a multi-strand. And that is how she's able to get the toggles on. And then on the red one on the far left, the clasp and a closed ring. Because when you do it this way, I kid you not, these things are super duper strong. So these are so pretty. I would wear them like stacked, all 4 of them. Really pretty. And then next we have Debbie from California. And this one is also, it's a multi-strand with macrame binding knots on the end. And it's got the knotted leather part with the transition into a ladder bracelet. So this was, I think it was not, I don't think it was last week's lesson, maybe the week before, but 2 thumbs up. Awesome. And then next we have, oh, this one, Sarah, North Carolina. The detail on this thing is just like amazing. Okay, on the, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, if you wear it long, then the button that will go on the back will have that really neat element with the macrame binding knots and then the dangles like in the back. But when I saw this one, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so pretty. Look at this, guys. I mean, it's like a double whammy. You get that really pretty wire wrap pendant in front, and then that element that just transitions this so perfectly. I really like this necklace. This is like so pretty. Oh, Sarah, you are so talented. And I think this is braided, Sarah. And you said you couldn't braid. I think you can braid. This is so pretty. It's like perfect. And then next we have Susanna from Louisville, Kentucky. And this one is also the multi-strand with part of it that's knotted and then part of it that is a ladder bracelet. But look at the little macrame slide knot on the back. It's got those cute little beads macrame in there. And it's got those pretty rings. And I just like the combination of the colors and those beads that look like, I don't know, to me it looks like ice. Very nice. And then last we have Sarah again from North Carolina. And this honestly looks like a variation on today's project. So you've got the pendant in front with the macrame, I guess it would be like a bail. And then the knotting on the sides. And this one is finished with a clasp, a regular clasp on the end. So this one's like so pretty. And that is it. And if you guys want to submit anything that you make with the Knotty-Do-It-All, just email it to me at theknottydoitall@gmail.com. Preferably the cutoff would be Tuesday before the show. So yeah, and preferably, I mean, if you have a white background, that would be ideal. But if you don't, I can work with it. All right. Okay. I want to say hi to like everybody here, but I'm going to answer a question that Gina asked. She asked if you can heat harden, I guess like a waxed Irish linen. That's a really good question. I wish I had a spool here, but sometimes yes and sometimes no, because when you heat harden, like what I'm going to actually show today, which is part of today's lesson. Let me just like switch over to the board so I can just show you. I'm going to be using Eslon, and let me just cut this because I already have one of those heat hardened needle thingies on there. This doesn't have any kind of wax on it. It's straight, polyester. And the difference between there's like 2 groups, like either the naturals or the synthetics. The naturals are like the polyesters, the nylons. And the way that you can tell, this is a really good test, because I remember one time I bought a spool of thread and they said, oh, it's silk. I was like, oh, I was thinking all that because I'm making myself a silk necklace. And then I found out that it wasn't silk. So the test is just get yourself a lighter and just light it up. And see that? If it rolls up into a ball, see that it's like a hard ball like that? That is a synthetic. And let me see if I've got like a spool of the silk around here. Let me grab one real quick and I can show you. Let me see here. Okay, here's some silk. Right here. Okay. Silk. Okay, watch what's going to happen. In this, silk is a natural fiber, so it's not going to melt. So this is like if you're new to stringing materials. Okay, see that? And then you like it doesn't melt into a ball. It just turns into like dust. So that is a really good tip. But your question about whether or not to heat harden the waxed Irish linen, if you do it very gently, I think it'll work, because when you heat harden a synthetic like this, you're actually heat hardening the cord itself. But with like a waxed Irish linen, what you're depending on is that wax. Because you know how candle wax or any wax, when it's at room temperature or cooler, it hardens. But if it gets really hot, or you know, whatever, it gets soft and it melts. That's how come sometimes, I kid you not, when I'm working with wax cord in a cold room, it's really stiff. But if it's hot outside, or you know, I have the heater on or something, it gets a lot softer. It's like really weird. So, so I'm gonna like get started with today's like the information that I want to share, because I mean this part is pretty straightforward. You know, you string your beads on and you know whatnot. But I'm gonna like talk about that in just a second. But when I first started making, you know, I got the beads that were on today's show, and I'm just like, what am I going to do with these? I kid you not, it took me like such a long time to come up with an idea. And one thing that I learned early on is that designing something is different from replicating it, because yesterday, you know, it took me forever to come up with, I was like going nuts. But then I said, oh, I need to get the stuff ready for the show. And boom, boom, boom. It took me like 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's not supposed to happen, because I need to show people what I had to deal with when I was designing it. So I know you guys have been there. Like when you get something, you're just like, you don't know what to do. You don't know what direction it's going to take. So I'm going to give you like tips and tricks, and to basically like leave options open. And the very first one is this. Okay, so I've got I'm gonna make like a very short version of this, because this is mostly just like, you know, I just did the same thing basically over and over. So so the pattern that I used was the okay, so there's the round donut type thing. This is in case, you know, if you're extremely unfamiliar with like beading patterns and stuff like that, this will be helpful. And while I do this, I just want to, what am I going to do? Oh, yes. Oh, no. I just want to welcome everybody. Kumi, Susanna, Michael, Chatty, Robin, Laura Lee. I want to thank you guys for joining the show. We've got Susan, Linda, Prince, Lynn, Gina, Kathleen, Joan, Adair. Hey, Adair, mi amiga. Kim, Terry, and let's see who else. Maria, Diana. Just thank you guys so much for joining today's show. I really appreciate it. But the way you heat harden a non-waxed polyester cord or nylon, you take a lighter and you just run it back and forth really quickly. Sometimes you might like melt it, but you know, just stick it back in there and just keep going, because what this is doing, it is heat hardening the thread. And the reason that is really helpful, because have you ever taken like string off of a spool, and it's got like a hook on the end, and you're trying to like get it through the beads, and it just takes way more time than it needs. So heat hardening the end like this, you let it cool. Very important to let it cool. And then when you take it off, see that? It's like stick straight. And then you just take your, not these are horrible scissors. Let me grab these. Just cut it at an angle, and then boom, it's a lot easier to like thread all your beads on. And so the pattern that I used here, so I went through the donut thing, and then I put one of these agate beads, and you could use like any 8mm, because that's what size fit, because I tried like the 6, and it was too like gappy. And then you come back through that hole, and then what I did was I put 2 of these tiny rondelles. These are like plated hematite, but they just give that little extra sparkle. So I like sparkle. And then, you know, there you have it. Okay, so what I did, because, you know, I thought, okay, this is what you want to do, because this will leave your options open. On this part right here, let me straighten this up. Okay, of course you'll need to knot it, but make this part like, I'm going to go for, and this is like, this is good insurance, even though you're like, girl, that is a waste of a lot of thread there. Let me measure just how much I got. Oops, wrong spool. Okay, so here I have, probably, I think I'm going to go with like 30. Okay, so this is actually 60 inches in here. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to like melt this end and then just tap it. Okay, and then I'm going to make my first overhand knot, because this is, I got a lot of knotting, and I'll tell you what I'm doing in just a second. Okay, right there. See, I made the overhand knot, but I'm not pulling the cord all the way through. So I'm just going to make an overhand knot just like that. See that? And I'm not pulling the cord all the way through. I'm just going to like just tighten it, and it's going to just be like right in that knot. And I'm just going to come over here and like pull it till there's just a little bit sticking out. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it right there. And the reason I'm doing this is because, remember, I'm working on the design, not the final like necklace. So this here, it leaves my options open. So let's say I put my first beads down, and then I start knotting away or whatever. Let's say like somewhere in between, I thought, you know what? It would be cool to add a braid to the end. So all you'd have to do is pull on this part right here, just like this, and see how now you have your 3 strands there, so that you can braid if you want to add a braid in there, or if you, depending on how you end up cutting the threads, you also have your 3, so that you can put a macrame in there if you want. And the other thing, so like on this side here, does that make sense? I don't want to like get anybody confused. Okay. Oh no, this is too much. Is it too much in that it's, do you want me to explain that again? Did everybody get that, or am I like driving you guys completely off the deep end? I'm going to wait for a couple of responses. I could explain that again if you want, because I know it's a little. Okay, Susanna. Okay. Thank you, Susanna. Okay, so this right now, this can go like a billion different ways. I mean, if you know, I'm just gonna like leave it right there, and then I'm gonna start doing the knotting process, and I'll tell you what ended up happening. So I made like I had like strung a bunch of like these on, like boom, 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 and then let me get back over here so you could like, so it'll make some sense to you. So it was just like a straight. Let me untangle this. Oh my goodness. This thing. Okay. So it was just like straight like this. And then I tried it on, and I'm like, I don't know. For some reason, I didn't like it. For me, it's just, it needed to be like this. And then I thought just by itself, it just looks like a bunch of eyeballs. And I'm just like, I don't like it. So, you know, I thought to myself, okay, what are the options? Like, and then I thought, okay, oh, and another thing, let me show you this. This is why I ended up doing all these like little knots in between, because when I first did the knot, I didn't have all these knots in between. And have you guys ever made something that looks kind of like anemic? You're just like, oh, this thing needs a little more like oomph. But I knew at the same time that I couldn't get a thicker cord, and so the option was to make all these itty bitty knots, which I'm going to show you, which is actually pretty easy. So I ended up making one side And then I decided I'm going to make a necklace that has this pendant in the middle, and it's going to be macrame. So technically, these are two separate pieces. I made one and then I made another one because sometimes, I do get a lot of questions. Is that necklace one piece or is it two pieces? Sometimes it's two, sometimes it's one. It just all depends. And this one ended up being two. So, but I'll show you how I did this. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're doing good. Okay, so to do the knotting, in case you guys don't know how I knot my itty bitty teeny weeny beads, let's get this in here. Let me move everything so it's nice and tidy. The first thing you're definitely going to want is a very sharp knotting awl. Just look at the tip. I mean, if this thing draws blood, that means it's going to be really good. And a pin is not good enough because it's too thin. You want something that's a little thick that just tapers right into a super sharp point. So that is going to give you the best result. So let's get started with a few knotting thingies here. And I'll go slow because I know that I've done this before and some of you guys just like, didn't think you could get it. But the, let me get this back a little bit more. Okay, so this one I put an extra bead in there. Okay, that's good that this happened because if that ever happens to you where you have a bead in there, rather than having to like take the whole thing apart, one thing that I do, let's see if it works. I think it will. I mean, if it's a metal bead, it's not going to work. But what I do is I just kind of put the bead towards the outside and I take a pair of like cutters. Can you see that? You want to close your eyes and your mouth just to make sure nothing, and then just look away and cut. Okay, that worked. Yeah, because you don't want anything, and you know what, honestly, the other day I did that, I was like, oh, and then I cut it and then it hit my monitor. So I'm glad it didn't break anything. So just make sure it's not around anything that can be broken. Because those, man, have you guys ever cut like a piece of wire and that thing goes flying like literally 20 feet? That's insane. I don't know how that happens. So anyway, so I'm going to come in here. Let's make sure I've got enough space. Whoops. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, okay, this is how I do that. Yeah, Susanna, I know. Because sometimes, you know how that goes. I'm sure it's happened to everybody. So when I do this knotting, my habit is, let's see, I grab it and this, whoops, right at the very top of the knot, I just flip it over just like that. And I hold it. Let me get all the stuff out of the way. And right at that top there, I just come in and and then, oops, you can't see this. Let me, I want you guys to see what I'm doing because I do this little tiny thing with my nails. Okay, so I come in, let me zoom in. Oop. I've got so much like stuff here. Okay, so I have that knot and then I come in and see how just with my fingernail, and it doesn't take a lot to get that knot. Like right, let me do another one so you could see. Let me get this position just right. Hang on, I'm just gonna, this is like so tough because this technique, it takes up such a big like part of the screen. So let me just do nope, that's not gonna work. Hang on, back it up. Okay, maybe, it'd be nice if I could like look at the monitor and then have it like pan. Okay, so right at the top of the knot, right there, and then I'm going to flip it over. Oh my goodness, wait a minute, something's getting stuck in here. Okay, so, and then what you do is like make like see how I'm making like an L? And see, so when you come down, that knot that you made previously just kind of stops that knot. You put your all in there, and then just with your nail, you just kind of like scoot it down and it just gets nice and close. So what I did, I did 6 in between. So I just hold it like this, put the knotting all in, and just, and this is a gentle. When you're doing like these stack knots, because I know I've read that, and it's true, that people that make jewelry, like when you're first learning, you're real careful, just like I used to be, because I used to think, oh my God, I'm going to break stuff. But then after you learn how to do it, you develop these like ferociously like bear paw hands where you do things like really fast, really tight, and you know, just to get the job done because you're so good at it. Like who do we have? Like Laura Lee, and then we have Sarah. So do you get the idea? Okay, so let me just come in here and I'm just going to do these next ones. So I'm going to get that nice and tight and just keep doing like a few of these guys. Driving, you know what, Gina? You know what? It is like driving because sometimes you got to know when to speed up, when to slow down. Yeah, like when you find a bump in the road. Yep. And to me, I don't know. The worst thing is when I've come like, let's say this far or something, whatever. The worst thing for me is when I'm at a juncture where I've made like some kind of mistake, and it's a mistake that is, you have to like decide whether to like remove like 5 or 6 knots or start all over again, because sometimes it's faster just to start all over. And that happened to me. And I had to take out, I don't know, 6 of these knots because the only reason I did it because I wanted to practice having to like undo knots. And one thing that helped, if it's got wax in there, oh my God, that is going to take forever. So I don't want to be out of screen. So let's see right there. Okay, I'm just gonna do like, okay, we're at that last one. So we're gonna do that same thing on the other side where you take just leave a lot of thread. I'm gonna do my lots of thread. So we have that. Boom. I'm gonna melt the end, and then I am going to do an overhand knot on that side. The same. I'm gonna do the same, like leaving my option open thing. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in here, make an overhand knot, and then it's gonna be like exactly the same thing. So I'm gonna leave the a loop. And if you ever have to be in a situation where you're knotting that way, just hold it, put your awl in, and then just like slide it like up to the bead. Because before I used to do this, I used to like make the knot down here, like try to slide it. If you can avoid that, that would be good, because what happens is you kind of like wear out the thread and then I'm pushing and getting that knot really close. So now I'm going to like pull this through. Okay, and I'll tell you what was going on. Let me get this through here. Boop, come on. Come on. Okay. Okay. So now we have like our 2 sides. Uh-oh. But you know, if it gets stuck, you could always pull it out. Okay, but so then I had my 2 sides, and I'm just like, okay, what do I do? Where's my other one? Do you guys see it anywhere? Oh, here it is. So I thought, You know, I could put pearls in the front, which I should have done here, but I didn't. But you know what? It's not too late. See, that's the cool thing. I could still do it. So I'm going to take this off and add those 2 pearls in. Uh-oh. Well, that turned into a big mess. Huh. I don't know why that happened, but you know what? Sometimes the mess is not as bad as it seems, but that looks pretty bad. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to take it apart. That is like the weirdest knot. I bet if I tried to make that, oh, there it goes. See, isn't that weird how sometimes a knot, you're like, oh, what happened? And it looks worse than it actually is. So I'm just gonna put those pearls in there because I want it to match on the side. So let's take this one out and put those pearls. And these pearls are, they got like a bigger than usual hole, but they still work with this thread. So I'm going to take, I think I put 2. Let me get 2 of these. And you can use like any like bead that you think that's going to look good. So I'm going to put that and then this one. See how having that heat hardened needle was really helpful, because now this is kind of like it's fraying on the end. But see, I'm not going to do the whole process just for one bead. But this is okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to knot those real quick, and then let's get that one. So sometimes, you know, if I'm just doing like a couple of like beads, I'm not going to like worry about having to do the whole, you know, backwards setup. So this one's good. And then let's get this one. You know what? I think I lied. Okay, I'm going to, you know what? Let me backtrack. Ugh. See, I should have taken notes. What I did, actually, because the pearls, the holes in the pearls were bigger. You guys know what I did, right? What do you do when you have it? Because see, look what's happening. See that hole right there is going through. Let me undo this. You know what I did, right? Okay, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna melt this end. You guys, if you've never seen this and you're new to this, you're gonna love it. Who's gonna guess what I'm gonna do? Okay, so I'm just gonna ignore the fact that I put a knot in there, and I'm just gonna come in here, do this, bring it all the way through, tighten, and okay, see, remember I was talking about leaving options open? Okay, so since I have a bend here, I am going, and I have a slightly larger hole, which needs a thicker cord. I am going to use a leadered needle. And in case you guys don't know what these are, it's fishing line. This is a, you could either use a 4-pound or a 6-pound, and it's got a needle on the end. And I make tons of them because I use them all the time. And yeah, I just have them on a magnet, so I could just like stick them like on any magnetic surface. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this fishing line because, okay, a couple of reasons. You're like, well, why don't you just use a large-eyed needle? So let's say, let me see if I have one here. Is that a large-eyed needle? Yes. And let me grab that thing. So in some cases, you can get away with the large-eyed needle. Just put it in there, and then let's see if it goes through. Because sometimes what happens, if you use a large-eyed needle, see that? It doesn't go on. And in most cases, you would say, oh, it's not going to work ever. I can never get that on. But if you do the fishing line, the leadered needle thing, watch this. So you string that on, and let's see. Just make like a, I don't know. Sometimes you can get by with I'm in this habit of putting a double overhand. I don't know why. And you want that knot that you just made to be offset. So you just pull one side of the cord and see it just moves it over. And now I guarantee you that this is going to go right on. Boop. And check it out. So, leadered needles. Right, Joan? You know, oh my God. Okay, 20 minutes. Thank you, Robin. Okay, so I'm going to like come in here. I'm going to put an overhand knot because now that I've got that larger bead, I need that chunkier, I'm going to put 2 of them, or should I just do 1? I'll just do 2 since that way it'll match the other side. So I'm going to take another one, put that in. And okay, and when I cut the leadered needles, I always cut it at the knot because I reuse them because, it's kind of, the holes in the needle are so tiny and it's just nice to like have it handy and just, get it over and done with. Okay, so this side is done. We're going to do our knot. I'm going to come in here with the knotting awl and like that one goes here. Ouch. This thing is sharp. Okay, and then if you want it to make sure it's extra tight, you could just pull this and then come over here and put this in and then pull. Okay, so at that point, when I got to that part of the, where did it go? You guys see the other, is that it? Here it is. Okay, so now I've got like, quote unquote, my 2 matching sides. And guys, I know that they don't match, but you get the idea, right? So now, let me just get this down here. So now I've got my 2 sides and this is going to be the front. And then for the back, I didn't know whether I wanted to do a macrame slide knot. I didn't know whether I was going to do a button and, it just went like everywhere. So I ended up deciding for the back part of the necklace to do like a button, like a button and one of these slider knots. I think most of you are familiar. Let's see, I'll be thinking of that leader's needle when I price my, yeah, it just makes it so much faster. It'll probably, the thing about the leader needle will probably like save you time. So yeah, it does. So I put this ending on there. However, what I want to talk about is the pendant part. Okay, so this is really interesting. Okay, guys, brace yourselves for what I'm about to show you. Okay, and there is under Knotty Lessons, I have the full informational video on it. Let me turn this over this way. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. Like I said, it's under Knotty Lessons, and I'm not going to get too into it. Let me push this over. But when I made this necklace, I had a really hard time, stabilizing the pendant so that I could like do the bead work that I wanted. So let me cut this off because I don't have an extra one of those. So let me show you the order of operations here. So what I did on these 2 guys was I put a leadered needle on both of them, okay? Because I needed to get that middle bead on, okay? So I'm going to take that leadered needle that I just used. I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to feed that bead in there. So I'm going to get this one, and I'm going to tie this just like I did before. So let's do a double. Get the needle, find those bends in the string. And now, you might have to like try like a couple of different beads to see if they'll go on. Sometimes they might, sometimes they might not. Let's see if this one goes on. Okay, this one will not go on. Let me see if I could steal the one that was originally on there. Where did it go? Let me try one more time, because sometimes you'd be surprised. No, that one's not going to go on. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a large whole bead. um, where did you see, where did it roll off to? It rolled somewhere. Do you guys see it? I don't see it. You know what? Let me just grab this bead because I don't want to run out of time. And this is getting stuck. Is it what you want to make sure is that that there's a little bit of friction in there because you don't want too much space. So we're gonna like feed all this down. So now we have it like nice and centered, but now we have to macrame around all this. So since I left my options open, I've got a lot of cord here that I'm going to do my macrame with. So I'm going to come in here, cut the leader needle right off, and then put it back on the magnet. Okay. But like I said earlier, you know, I had a hard time stabilizing the that pendant. So what I did, this is not something that like comes with your board. This is like a hack type thing. What I did is I took a block of wood and I put like cork on it. And this is like so easy to make. And I do have the instructions. If you go to Knotty Lessons, it's the very, it's one of the last videos. Super easy, very useful. I do not sell these. And like I mentioned, they don't come with the board. It's just something that I made and that you can easily make yourself. So a couple of ways that you can do this. You could either like drill holes in there. And I'm just going to like put like a peg right here and then maybe one right there, just like to hold it, because I'm going to be putting the pendant in, so that because see how it helps hold it. And for this specific pendant, and the thing is, you're not always going to need something like this, but let me grab a couple of like push pins. I know I had some here. Let me see what I got over here. I see some. Just 1 second. Where did my push pins go? Okay, let's see. Maybe there's some in here. Or maybe they're stuck on here. Huh. Just hang on, guys. Let me go grab a couple of these. Okay, for some reason, you know, I had like a whole, help me find them. Do you guys see them anywhere here? Look at this mess. There's 2 of them floating around here somewhere. Oh, there's one. Uh-huh. Let me see if I could find the other one. Ah, there it is. Ta-ta. So what I did is I just, like, see how I just clipped that in there? And it just really helps hold it. The another thing that you could do to, like, if you're having trouble with it moving around, which is what I did, and I do have the instructions on my my website. You could just drill a couple of holes and then just stick it right into the holes there. See that? Put this here and stick that right in there. And this is not something that you're going to need like all the time, just like sometimes. So now it just makes it a lot easier to come in here and take your 2 cords and put one in this way and then the other one going in this way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to macrame like going backwards. So this just makes it a lot easier. I mean, if you're working with a small pendant, then, you know, you don't need this. But first you tighten it, just get it nice and snug. And then what I do is I like to hold it and I kind of like eyeball it. I mean, once you get a design down, you can get a little more specific. Oh, and another thing I like to do to help hold it is I'll take a scrap of like thread and you could just like put it like around like anywhere, just to help like hold it in place, like maybe like right in here. Let me just, you know what, this is not gonna work. I'm just gonna clip this side and then I'll do the other side. Let's see. let me get a little more on here. So you just got to kind of keep shifting it till it's like the right like distance. Okay, so I'm going to clip this one. Here, let me get a clip. Okay. So let's get this side. And I think that looks like, okay, so now you just want to like kind of like get them like to where they're even. See these knots right here? You want to make sure that they're even on both sides. So then maybe you'll have to like loosen up one and then tighten the other. Let's get this one a little bit like tighter. Okay, so right there is like perfect. But I'm just going to do it real short because I think I'm running out of time because I only have 10 minutes. So, but normally I would like make it longer. And if you're like, oh, you know, there's still not enough space, what you can do is you could just take the pendant off and just scoot it down a little bit like that. And then it'll add like extra space where you need it. See, so it made this this part where I'm going to do the macrame a little bit longer. So right in there. So what I do is I come in and I start doing the macrame going backwards, just like that, with the doubled cord. See, so it helps really, really hold it. Joan, all the information is on my website under Knotty Lessons. It's one of my my like cool tips and tricks. So all the information is there. So you could check it out. And plus, oh, I'll tell you something else in a second. Then you move that down, and then you just repeat the same like steps. And if you feel like one side's a little bit, okay, there we go. And then what I would do is put a little bit of like, let's put some glue in there, just a little smidge, because this will really help hold it. So there's your top, your bottom, and the. Oops, let's get that top one. See, you don't want it to be like loose like that. You want to tighten them and then do the next one. The glue, GS Hypo Cement or any glue that's not super glue, if you macrame over it, just put a good amount, let it dry, and that way you don't have to use a thread burner to melt the ends. That way you could get a much cleaner finish. I mean, I prefer the, you know, I don't know, what do I prefer? The melty part, just cut it off and melt it because I just feel that it's more secure. So you could either use a lighter or see that little, you always want to leave a little tiny bit. So you come in here and tap it down. And that one I didn't do a good job, but I'll do this one. Tap, tap. Oh, okay, let's do this one again, because you don't want it sticking out too much because it looks kind of... Okay. So there you have the macrame bail part. But if you... there's so many ways you could do this. You can make this really long. You could put beads on the outside. Oh, the glue that I'm using. Okay, email me and I will tell you the glue that I'm using. But you could also use GS Hypo Cement. Those are the two. Diana, email me and I will let you know. And let me see any other tips or tricks. Oh, as far as you can, if you want to like make like a cork like thing like this, you can. What I did on this one was I mean, seriously, guys, who doesn't have a? I feel like so like crazy saying this, but like I'll buy like a cork board because I think it's going to make me organized. I look at it and I like at the store and I'm dreaming of all the possibilities, and then I drag it home, put some stuff on it, and it's, oh, it looks too sloppy, so I kind of like put it under the stairs or in the garage. And then like 6 months later, I'll go back to the store and I'll see another one. I'm like, maybe that one didn't work because it wasn't the right size. So I'll bring that one home. It's like this horrible like circle. So I end up with all these like cork boards on it. I swear I have so many of them. So what I did on this particular like thing was, oh, because that way I can give you more information on the glue. So what I did on this one, even though the cork was like thin, I had to I used hot glue to glue it on, and don't put hot glue all over the whole thing, because the first one I made, I put hot glue on the whole thing, and then my push pin wouldn't go through. So that was a problem. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so back to this thing. Okay, so we left our options open, and then let me put one more thing. Okay, this guy goes here. So what I ended up doing, okay, what you can do at this point, okay, let's get this last one on, because I will show you what you can do. Okay, so let's get this last bead on. And what I ended up doing, like I said, I ended up putting I backward macrameed a ring on one side and a button on the other. But I had the things that I could have done if I wanted to. I could have like transitioned into, I could have added a braided part. I could have done macrame. I could have literally crisscrossed them over. Let's do that instead. So you come over here, do your knot, put this guy in, and then I'm going to tighten this nice and snug, and I'm going to pull this out. So one of the things that you could do at this point, which was another option that I had, but let me put this here, and I'm gonna pull it all the way through, Okay. Because one thing you could do is you could crisscross those ends over and put a macrame slide knot. Sometimes it wants to get like a little bit twisty on itself, but just, just you are the boss of your thread. Just say, hey, and then you just pull it, pull. Uh-oh, I need to make my little melt spot, or else that thing's gonna go right through. So let me do that. Okay, tap, tap. And then lock it in. So at this point, okay, one thing that I thought I could do, I thought, you know what? I could put a macrame slide knot on here. I could just crisscross these two over and do a macrame slide knot. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to crisscross these over. But one thing that you want to do is you want to add an overhand knot on both of those cords first. So you want to just clip this one end in. And at this point, you know what? Let me just cut this, because it doesn't matter, because I know I'm going to put a macrame slide knot. I mean, yes. You just put a knot, because otherwise since you're adding a macrame slide knot, you don't want this to slip. So you just come in and put one knot using both of the cords right there. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Let's do that. And let's just cut this, because now we know that we don't need them. Right there, overhand knot. And tighten. I'm gonna pull this to make sure it's extra tight. And now, oh my God, you know what? Okay, guys, you know what a macrame slide knot is, because I think I have like no time left. But what I would do is, like Laura Lee does, and kumi. You know, you do like a macrame slide knot here with the beads on the outside. So that is like what I would do in a case like that. But so you get an idea of options that are available to you when you are designing. My time is up. I will see you guys next week. Bye.